Your mind's racing, replaying the same problems in an endless loop. Stress mounts and conflicts simmer, and finding a way forward seems impossible. But imagine a technique that not only helps you process these tangled emotions, but also boosts your fluency in a foreign language at the same time. I recently tried something that I'd heard about for months but never really gave much thought to. Therapeutic journaling. But I didn't just do it in English, I took it a step further and did it in different languages. And today I'm going to share how this practice helped me to untangle some tough emotions, build better relationships, and even improve my language skills. I also give you 6 tips so you can do this too. Kamusta mga kaibigan? My name's Matthew. I used to work for Fluent Forever, where I was mentored by the American polyglot and best-selling author Gabriel Weiner. Nowadays, I share my own tools and techniques to help you learn a language effectively by yourself. But learning languages and going through life isn't always easy. For a while now, I've been feeling stuck, like there's a tension between me and other people. People I care about, the people I work with and interact with. Whether it's miscommunication with friends or conflicts at work and even unresolved issues with family, these things have been weighing on me. And to be honest, I didn't know what to do with all of these feelings. I'd replay arguments in my head, think about what I could have said differently, or wonder if I was the one in the wrong. It was exhausting and it felt like there was no way out. I realized I needed to find a way to process these emotions or they just keep piling up. The problem has been, to be honest, that growing up, I never really learned how to express and talk about my emotions. I grew up in a household where we didn't really talk. When it came to your feelings, you kept them inside and you would either go hide in your room and vent there and keep them all pressed up within you, or you'd maybe lash out all of a sudden out of nowhere. But there was never really a space or an ongoing encouragement that enabled me and others in my family and even social group to be able to express emotions, whether good or bad. So truly that has been the problem for me as an adult man nowadays. I've been trying to figure out on my own and take responsibility for where I'm at now to be able to figure all of this out, all of these emotions that come up sometimes out of nowhere, and be able to speak about them. I realized the importance of this ever since I started getting into language learning. I realized languages really are a form of communication, and I figured that languages, whether in a foreign language or in my native language, was all about expressing not only my ideas and thoughts, but also what I felt inside. And I think that was important too. The thing was, I just didn't know how to be able to express it. I didn't know a practical, evidence-based way to be able to do that. That's when I stumbled upon the concept of therapeutic journaling. It's different from keeping a regular diary, which I actually had tried in the past, where I'd write down different notes of simply what happened in the day or just tasks that I needed to do. Therapeutic journaling goes beyond that. Instead of just jotting down what happened each day, you dive deep into your emotions, writing about your thoughts, your feelings, and your reactions to different events. I found out about the work of Dr. Pennebaker, a leading researcher in this field. He discovered that writing about emotionally charged events for just about 10 to 20 minutes each day for 4 consecutive days can lead to long-term improvements in both mental health and physical health. The idea that you could write your way to emotional well-being really intrigued me. It seemed so simple, but could it really be effective for me? Tip 1. Start journaling in your native language. You can do this kind of expressive writing with pen and paper in a notebook, or you could also do your therapeutic journaling in digital form by typing out your feelings and emotions and reactions. In my case, I like to do expressive writing by typing it all out. And the reason for this is so that I am able to organize it a lot better digitally, and I'm able to once in a while get corrections for the writings that I'm comfortable to share. Begin therapeutic journaling by writing about emotionally charged events in your life to process your feelings and to gain clarity. And it's great to just start first with your native language so you get used to it. So I decided to give it a try. I picked out one major personal issue that was bothering me for so long, and I committed to writing about it for 4 consecutive days. I started to write first in English just to get a feel for it, and at first it was tough. Even in my own native language, the words didn't flow that easily, and I found myself hesitating, being unsure of what to write. I was struggling to write fluently in my own native language of English, and it just goes to show that sometimes what blocks your fluency is not necessarily that you don't know the language, but it could be something else. And in this case, it was the emotional barriers that were holding me back from being able to express myself clearly and confidently. But as I kept going, something began to shift. I began to see my problems from a new perspective. It was like I was untangling a knot, one word at a time. My first attempt at therapeutic journaling for 4 days went so well that I decided to do it again in English for another 4 consecutive days, exploring another major personal issue I was going through, and I wanted to see if, again, this journaling technique could help me process those emotions. Interestingly enough, often I wasn't able to come to a clear resolution or next action after all of that writing, but at least I was able to write out what I truly thought and felt, and it gave me clarity on what truly were the problems and how best I could either address them or accept them and try and deal with them in other ways. Tip 2, challenge yourself by journaling in a foreign language. Once you're comfortable, try journaling in a foreign language. This will not only help you process your emotions, but also allow you to improve your fluency in a new language. After those first few days, I decided to take it up a notch. I wanted to see if I could use this method not only to process my feelings, but also to improve my fluency in another language. So I started journaling in Spanish and Filipino too. Now this was a whole new challenge. Expressing deep emotions in another language isn't easy. There were moments, and there were a lot of them, where I didn't know the right word or phrase to use, but I pushed through. And in doing so, I learned so much. In those times, I would just keep going with writing. The main goal was to just keep writing as much as possible and whatever I was thinking and feeling. If I didn't know the right word, I would either put it in brackets and write it in English, or I would try my best to come up with another word to use. And if it was totally wrong, that was okay. The main purpose of this was to express my emotions in another language. I had to keep remembering that it wasn't just about improving my language skills. It was about pushing myself to express my feelings more clearly, even in a language that wasn't my own. Tip 3, commit to a regular practice. Set aside 10 to 20 minutes each day to journal, or try and journal as much as you can to make it a regular routine. It's important to stay consistent so you can experience the mental and emotional benefit. But I have to admit that it wasn't easy doing this journaling regularly. There were days when I didn't feel like writing. I was too busy or I was too tired. Other days I questioned whether this really was helping me, but I reminded myself that this was more than just about journaling. It was more than just about learning a language. It was about my mental health, my relationships, and my growth as a person. So I learned to set aside 10 to 20 minutes each day, no matter what. Tip 4. Use writing prompts. Focus your journaling by writing about specific topics. I also found that writing about specific prompts helped me to focus. There were days where I would feel like I didn't know what to write about. Nothing seemed significant or nothing was majorly bothering me. So I leaned on prompts or topics that I could regularly go back to if I didn't know what to write about. For example, I would take a few seconds or a minute to just reflect on how I was feeling and what I was thinking, and I would just write about how I felt that day. Maybe there was a recent argument and I felt negative, or maybe there was a positive experience and I felt so joyous. So I'd write about that. Another go-to topic that I'd write about is what I was thankful for that day. I'd think about 1 to 3 things that I was thankful for, and it could be simple things like being thankful for my wife, grateful for my kids. I'd start off my journal with something like this. Today I'm thankful for the day out with the kids where we played with water guns and sprayed each other until we were all wet and soaked. It started to rain, but even though it was raining, we still kept playing and had a lot of fun. And I'm so thankful for this experience with them. Simple things like that can really trigger some deep emotions, and they're great because when you read them again in a few weeks or months or years, you can go back to those moments, the positive ones, and you can relive them. If there were negative ones, you can also read about them and draw lessons from them so you can deal with them a lot better, avoid some pitfalls in the future, and grow. So these kinds of prompts and topics helped me to keep going, especially when therapeutic journaling and expressive writing felt so difficult. As the days, the weeks, and the months went by, I started to notice some changes. I wasn't as stressed, and I felt more in control of my emotions. Writing helped me process what I was going through, and it gave me the clarity I needed to move forward. Tip 5. Share and seek language feedback. Share less personal entries with native speakers so you can get corrections in another language. Now this tip really is for all you language learners out there who are like me. In my case, I even shared some of my writings that were not so private and I didn't feel were too intense. I asked some native speakers and tutors to check my writing to correct any mistakes. This not only improved my language skills, but it gave me more confidence in expressing myself so that the next time I would journal, I would feel like it was a lot easier to do so. Tip 6. Balance positive and negative entries. Include both challenging emotions and positive experiences in your journal writings. This helps you maintain a balanced perspective and to reflect on what's good in your life. Not every journal entry I wrote about was about negative emotions. I also wrote about positive experiences, such as the love letter that I wrote to my wife. It's a reminder that journaling isn't just for dealing with tough times, it's also a way to reflect on what's wonderful. Looking back on it all, I realized that this experiment wasn't just about journaling. It was about finding a way to connect with myself on a deeper level, to understand my emotions and to express them in a way that made me feel heard, even if it was just by me. And doing it in other languages added that extra layer of growth, both emotionally and intellectually. So if you're feeling overwhelmed or stuck, I suggest that you can try this therapeutic journaling. Start writing in your native language And if you're up for the challenge, try to expressively write in another language too. You might be surprised by how much it helps you to process your feelings, improve your relationships, and boost your fluency. If you still want to learn more writing techniques that I've discovered to help you build fluency, then be sure to check out this next video where I talk about that.